Everyone now believed the illusion that Leeson had created. In December, he was flown to New York. Barings was holding a conference for many of its traders from around the world, and Nick Leeson was the star. He had made, it appeared, £28 million turnover that year. He was held up as the model for the future of the bank, the Cymex model.
Lots of people were there. It was probably the biggest sort of thing on this sort of basis that they'd done for Barings, and it really was, I presume, on the back of the profits that I was reporting out of Singapore. And there's all these people are doing these presentations and they're thinking, shit, we're going to make a load of money this year. Look at how much money Singapore's got. Now, do I need that? No.
Leeson faced an audience of executives who badly wanted to believe in him. All of them were to get vast bonuses that year. Some, like Ron Baker, of nearly £1 million. Much of this was to come from Leeson's profits. But there were traders in the audience who didn't believe Leeson. They couldn't see how such fantastic profits could come from low-risk trading. But Barings executives dismissed their worries. Is it possible to make such profits for what Leeson was supposed to be doing?
Yes. And I think if we had had somebody that was skillful, that was earnest, and that was attempting to fulfil that commercial strategy as honestly as they could within Cymex during that year, that we would have made money, decent money out of that activity. Would we have made £28 million? I think it's possible.
It is simply not the case that it's impossible for institutions like Barings to make very considerable profits from financial transactions with very little or virtually no risk.
So when people say they should have known that it was impossible to make high profits with low risk, they're wrong?
I think they're wrong, yes.
The reason that Barings executives believed there was no risk was yet another deception by Leeson. They thought he had offset all his futures. This meant that for every bet he had made, Leeson had an insurance policy. He had made an equal bet on the market moving the other way. But like all of Leeson's activities, this too was a lie. None of his futures were offset.
I'd never queried for an instant the basic premise of this business, which was that it was an offset. It never even occurred to me that fundamental point was untrue.
Leeson's positions on the exchange were now vast. Every night he asked for hundreds of thousands of pounds in margin payments, and Barings paid it. Yet those in charge of sending him this money knew there was something seriously wrong. The bank's treasurer, Tony Hawes, knew that there was nothing like this amount coming in from clients. He worried, but he didn't do very much. Those who ran Barings were not only mesmerised by Leeson's profits, they didn't understand the very basics of the business they had taken over. Mr. Hawes has declined to be interviewed. So senior managers within Barings Bank knew that there were vast differences between what Leeson was asking for and what you were being given. Yet you were never told?
Yeah.
Should you have been told?
Well, of course, you say, yes, I should. I should.
Why didn't you know?
Well, fundamentally because it wasn't raised in that way.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know.
But why didn't those people who ran Barings come to you and say, what are you doing?
Because they're stupid. They don't understand the business, and they should never have been in the position that they were in. Especially people like Tony Hawes. He was supposed to be controlling the global treasury function. He was supposed to understand derivatives. He didn't. And he would pay the money every single day. And would accept, pretty ridiculous explanations from me. It wouldn't happen at Morgan Stanley. At Barings, they had a lot of idiots, basically, in every one of the controlling functions. They were asking questions, but they weren't going deep enough. They didn't understand the basics of the business.
And you were creating a large amount of profits?
Fictitiously, yeah. But they were also paying me an awful lot of money that they couldn't justify. So if you were thinking that the profits were real and yet you were still paying 10 times as much in money that you couldn't account for, what is the natural conclusion? Something is wrong.
By the end of 1994, the equivalent of 3/4 of Baring's capital had been sent to Leeson. The oldest merchant bank in Britain had placed £330 million on the activities of one man. Such was the power of the illusion that Leeson had created, that the men who ran the bank began to entertain strange dreams. The chairman, Peter Baring, believed his family bank had returned to the glories of its past. It had recaptured the global position it had lost 100 years ago. That Christmas, Leeson went on holiday to Ireland with his wife. He decided to tell her they weren't returning to Singapore.
I'm trying to tell Lisa that I don't want to go back. Pressure's too much.
What does she say?
You know, she knows what the bonus figure is. The proposed bonus figure is supposed to be £450,000.
It was just this bonus. Imagine, £450,000 is such a lot of money. You know, it would have set us up for the rest of our lives. Every week I sort of do scratch my 6 number, do my 6 numbers to think I could have a chance of winning that kind of money. You dream about that kind of money. And to think that Nick had worked so hard to achieve it, and then he said he didn't want to go back. I couldn't understand it, but he couldn't tell me why, and he didn't tell me.
I just can't face up to it. I don't know, you have to ask a psychologist. It's the thing of letting people down. I just can't do it. You know, maybe I try too hard to please. I can't give you an explanation.
So Leeson returned to Singapore. For a few days in January, things went his way. He had thousands of futures hidden in the secret account. Provided the market kept steady, they could still make a lot of money. The effect of the Kobe earthquake on the Japanese stock market was disastrous. Immediately, the Nikkei began to plunge.
It was bad, you know. But again, it's living to fight another day, really. I mean, what did I feel? I didn't go home and cut my wrists. I didn't go and jump out of a building, you know. Some people would do that. But, you know, without the choice of running away from it, you know, I had to... Barings were still paying me money, don't forget. They were still paying me masses of money, you know. I mean, we'd ask for sometimes for $100 million. They'd pay it.
Leeson decided to take one last desperate gamble. Using Baring's money, he bought thousands more futures. He was single-handedly going to try and hold the market up.
If you're desperate enough and you're that frightened of a huge loss, you take the leap of faith and try to hold up the entire market. You can feel it slipping away. You can feel it slipping out of your hands. But, you know, you can't exactly pull it back. You do something desperate, like try to buy thousands of futures of contracts and hold the market up.
In the days following Kobe, Leeson took a terrifying switchback ride on the futures market. If the market moved up only a few points, he made millions of pounds in seconds.
So the numbers scared me. I didn't really want to know what the numbers were. I was hiding from the numbers as much as possible. It was out of hand, you know. It had just gone completely crazy. How it was continuing to go on a day-to-day basis, I just can't explain to you.
But Leeson's strategy failed. The market began to fall again. His losses were catastrophic. On one day alone, he lost £50 million. But he kept going. To do so, he needed vast margin payments from London.
Every day that I made